All right, Reusse Unchained, presented by Josh Arnold, investment consultant, Mr. Money Talk. I'm going to duck away for a couple minutes to finish a call. You guys chat amongst yourself about the Detroit freaking Lions.
All right, we will do that. I hope for the sake of the Arizona football franchise that their coach was watching last night to see when you
Oh,
have a chance to win a game, what you do with that game. I think with the modern NFL, everybody's shocked that even the broadcasters that he didn't take the field goal there,
yep.
but. I think in the modern NFL, when you got a chance to go 1 yard and win the game, you got to do it, don't you? I mean, Goff fell down. It could have been a disaster,
Yeah.
but the fact that they, as quickly as teams can get into field goal position now
Yep.
and get into, and win the game, if you give them 40 seconds and you kick the field goal, they're going to come back and have a chance to kick a field goal and win the game if they complete two passes, or if the officials decide to call you were holding you pushed a guy or something like that. You cannot, with the way they call. It's almost as if the officials are instructed to keep giving the team that's behind a chance. So, somebody's going to put a hand on a receiver, right? And they're going to call that penalty and keep you going.
Yep.
I think it's genius that I was saying all along, he's not faking. He's going to go for it. And if they get stopped there, okay, they might lose the game, but they still have to stop the Packers whether they get the yard or not, right? So I don't know. It
And
was,
that's what he does.
yeah,
Like it wasn't out of character for him. That's
no,
what he's going to
no,
do.
no, no, and yeah, the heat line, but the other team, you also probably in that situation get the other team thinking they're trying to draw us off sides here, so we're
Yes.
not going to jump. We're not going to jump. So you kind of stay back on your heels a little bit
Yeah.
too, right? And
But
then boom.
I'm with you. You've got to know he's going to go. Like
Yes.
I didn't really think that was a bluff.
No, I
Not
didn't
from
either.
him.
Not no. He's well. What the I didn't watch all of it, but they went 5 times last night on fourth down and made it
Yeah.
four or
Yeah,
something
I think
like
that's
that.
right. Yeah.
And
They
and the way you stuffed them on third down now, you probably thought, maybe he's going to be a little gun shy, but he doesn't get gun shy. I'll say that. I
no.
don't think I've ever done a 180 on a guy like that in my life because I told you 20 times I thought he was the goofiest son of a gun to ever take over a team. But the modern NFL needs bravado because these teams just you can go you can go 45, 50 yards in 20 seconds, right? And then anytime you get to the 42 of the other team, they can kick a field goal on you. So it's it's genius. And the Arizona coach is, if he was watching that game, has got to. I think we all agreed last week. You got 4 yards to beat the Vikings.
Yeah.
You gotta go four
Yes.
yards to beat the Vikings.
Yeah.
That's going to be your best chance to beat them. Go 4 yards and beat them. And he was what they were in the Arizona's in the red zone 4 times and kicked
Yeah.
field goals.
Yeah.
How many times do you think he would have kicked field goals? Yeah, Detroit. How many times do you think they would have kicked field goals in that
Well, he was
situation?
running the Cardinals play calling was basically on third down trying to run conservative plays to so
So he could kick the
they
field
didn't
goal.
even want to get to fourth down and take it,
Yeah.
seriously. But the thing about it is the last play there at the 4 in the Cardinals game, that wouldn't have even been gutsy. That would have just been
No.
common sense.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. It would have. Because as we've said, okay, you make 3 yards, you're on the one. The Vikings have to start from the one, and then
Correct.
you got a chance to win a game. But this guy is. I mean, they're out there playing with half their defense, and they still
Yeah.
won the game. They're
13
just
guys
they're
on
just
IR.
beat to hell, and they somehow they when last week wasn't it 24-6 or something? They kind of won it with deep. They weren't very impressive, but This week they get in a shootout and they win. Now Love looked good. I don't know if that's in the second half. I don't know if that's because he was throwing against no pad, a second team defense or not. But he looked pretty good, and LaFleur was he was insane on the sideline, wasn't he? He was because of
Yeah.
a little push. It wasn't like it was
It
a
was
little
it was
push
a
up.
pick. He thought it was a pick play.
Pick. Yeah, but he went on for about 5 minutes. Let's let that ship sail and go and get it onto the next play. But yeah, it was that was a great win for them, man. Detroit. I don't know. I don't know how they're doing it with all the injuries they're getting.
Yeah, Dan Campbell's post-game locker room speeches, by the way. We talk about Kevin O'Connell in the locker room in
Hmm.
these videos. Did you guys see that video from
No,
last night?
I didn't watch it. No.
So Dan Skipper, the big, he's the one they bring in as like a extra offensive lineman, right? And he was kind of
Mhm.
thrust in
Yeah.
as a starter in the game. And so Dan Campbell's doing the, men, we were destined for this. This doesn't just happen. This doesn't just happen. And he looks over and he goes, Dan Skipper stepping up. And he looks over and the camera pans over and Dan Skipper is on his knees puking into a garbage can in the locker room. And Dan Campbell goes, Skip, you just keep throwing up whatever you're doing over there, giving your all.
Yeah, it's I think if I know you guys got the T-shirts before you die, but it's hard not to root for the Lions now, isn't it? I mean, you got to root for them because they're beat to hell, and the fans there have never experienced this, and it's pretty damn incredible. I'll say that, but some still now help me out here. If these two teams keep running the table and the Vikings end up beating them, if they end up with the same number of losses, do we know who got the what? Because the Vikings are unbeaten in the. I mean, the only loss is in the division is to Detroit, right?
Right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, Detroit has 4 division wins. I think they're undefeated in the division, right? Because
Yes.
their one loss
Yes.
was not division.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So here are the division tiebreakers with 2 clubs head to head. Okay, if they
Yeah.
split, and then it would be best win-loss percentage in the division.
Yeah, and they
So
would. So they both end up with one loss, probably, right?
if
Five
the
and one.
Vikings, yep.
If the
Uh,
Vikings beat them.
and then it would be best one-loss percentage in common games.
Oh well,
So we'd have to do some digging on
math.
that.
That's math beyond me.
Our
I
research
can't.
department is a little thin
Yes.
today.
Yes, so we can't do that off the top. So it's not in the conference. I thought it was in. I thought the third one was in the conference, but it's
So the
not.
next
Okay.
one is conference. The next
Okay.
one is conference. And then
Okay.
if all of those are somehow tied, it would be your strength of victory in all games. So
So in other words, they would
like
add up.
the winning percentage of the opponents that you
It
played
would be
or that
kind
you
of
beat.
like the college football teams do it. So then, okay, all right. Well, anyway, that was a entertaining finish to a football game. I'll tell you that it was amazing, and it's the guy, as I said, you know. He's the coach of the century, and I thought he'd last 20 minutes when I first saw him on the sideline. I'm going to bite your leg off, or whatever the hell he said. So.
They're either going to win the Super Bowl doing something hyper aggressive, or they're going to lose the Super Bowl doing something
Yes,
hyper
yes,
Yeah.
aggressive with
yes.
very little
That's
room
what
in
happened
between.
last year
Hmm
against the
Last
49ers.
year, what was their lead last year in the Super Bowl? Did they lead by 2
17.
touchdowns? 17 points at one
In
time.
the conference championship game.
A conference
They played
championship.
San Francisco there.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's right. That's right. Okay. And well, anyway, it was fun. Now the
Yes.
when we get the Packers a week from now, that's next week. No, when do we get
No,
the
Bears.
Packers?
The
Bears.
Packers are
Okay.
like the 29th, right? It's like
Okay.
the last
So
week.
they
Right on
finished
New
with the Vikings finished with Packers Lions then. Packers
Correct.
Lions. That's pretty good.
Lions there.
By
Game.
then the Packers might need it bad, right? They're not a cinch yet to make the playoffs. They got 4 losses now. They
They're
probably
in a
are.
really good spot
Yeah,
still.
they are.
They're
Yeah.
right now. So they're the 6th seed. They're 2.5 games clear because they're in the wild card. So they're 2.5 games clear of the Buccaneers on the outside looking in.
I keep
So they're still
thinking
good.
that the Vikings, because they have this great record, will be the number 2 seed, but I keep forgetting you got to win your division to. So if you finish second, you're on the road, no matter how good you are, right? You
Correct.
know, yeah. So,
Correct.
but Packers would not be a team you'd want to play in the first round. I don't think, even in your own place. But you can't. We can't play them. So
Yeah,
they,
right now it
I
would be Vikings Falcons in Atlanta.
yeah, I keep forgetting. I keep forgetting this is a league where you can go 7-9 and be the home team against a team that's 12-4 or something, like that. I
And
keep
that's been a
forgetting that.
point of consternation for how long, and they just won't change it.
No, they want to put some attention on division championship, but if you get in the playoffs in any sport because you won a bad division, your reward should be being in the playoffs, right?
Correct.
That's
On the
all.
road.
That's all. Yes, and just go like you know 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or 7 according to record. So
Yep.
anyway, what? So I just got a response from Ben from my little tirade there yesterday about I didn't know what the hell he was talking about and on the show here. I think we were doing that,
Yes.
and Ben says basically he was trying to say what you need is a competitive individual on the outside like Michigan has to to give you if you get the if that guy shows up or a girl or a guy or a woman shows up with a lot of money, then you can have a competitive edge is what he was basically saying. I'm afraid that if they found one of those guys, they'd feed him to Fleck anyway. So
Yeah.
that was my point on the thing. But anyway, I do feel a little bit sorry for him not having the money that these other teams do. Although Mike, this comes from Mike Max, and I don't know if Maxie's 100% or not. He said, I said the number I heard for Darson Garcia to come back here was 350. He said 450. Can you believe that?
Mm,
That they gave him 450 to come back and
wow.
play here? I think I would have, that's a lot of money for 1 year from a guy. So anyway,
That's and it's tough because it's like he's a good player, but
yes,
you need more than him to put a
yes.
dent in the Big Ten. So it's
I
kind of a
guess what
waste almost unless you have
yeah,
more.
yeah, but I guess when everybody else was leaving, you had to try to save. You had to try to get somebody to stay. For
I mean,
goodness
if the
sakes.
Gophers are going to be bad with or without Dawson Garcia, I'd rather take that 450 and throw it into Coy Parrish or something, or like the next Max
Mm,
Brosmer.
yeah, well, but that comes from a different fund. I think the basketball must have gotten
Sure,
some kind of. They got to get some kind of a hunk, don't they?
that's fair.
It's. I think that the also the other thing they're talking about is how is this 21 million going to be distributed? This each team has to give the athletes 21 million, right? Isn't that
Yeah.
it with these big timers? But who gets what? And there's got to be Title IX considerations in that too, right? You can't give it all to you can't
How
give 15 million to football and 500,000 to volleyball. I don't think.
how about Andrew Luck signing up to help organize all this as the Stanford general man? This I think that's just the Stanford
Oh,
football
really?
GM, or is he the athletic
Oh,
department GM?
probably
Football.
the athletic.
Football, just football,
So he's going to try to raise money to make Stanford not be rotten, huh?
I
What are they going
guess.
to do? What are they going to do now that they're putting a Pac-12 together again in some form? They're only up to 8. How do Stanford and Cal get out of being in the ACC
Can
and
we go
get
back to the
back to go
Pac-12?
back to the
I don't
Pac?
think they
Yeah,
want to.
but well, yeah, well,
The
and they
travel.
signed some kind of a deal that they can't get out for 5 years or ten
Yeah.
years or something. But God, it's got to be insane to be playing. It's it's so crazy when you see, oh, we got that big Cal Virginia game this way. What are we doing here? And SMU ends up winning the ACC basically, right? SMU did they
Yeah.
win?
Well, now
Yeah.
but they have to beat Clemson this weekend, or they're probably going to be out of the college football play.
Yeah,
That's the thing. You'd
Clemson.
almost, if you're SMU, you'd rather just not play this game so that
Oh
you can
God,
get to the
yes.
college football playoff.
Yeah, that's what do you think of the whole system here? This is the college football playoff to
Well,
give Boise State a bye because they won a conference
You
when
got to
the other
fix that.
conference is so low
yeah.
rated is idiotic.
Yeah.
You
I
know?
do love having 12 teams. It's fun now for the next
Yes,
month, but it is funny that these arguments now, it's like, first of all, if your team lost 2 or 3 games and
yes.
you didn't make the college football playoff, shut up and try
Shut
again
up.
next year.
Yeah, Lane Kiffin is still trying to whine. I like him, but he's still whining. Hey, you lost 3 times. You had your big game at the end, and you puked. Stop complaining.
Yeah.
That's
You would have been
what
nowhere near
bothers
the
me.
old 4 team playoff.
What's interesting though? Notre Dame used to have influence, right? Because of the Notre Dame AD was part of the four. Always part of the when you had the 4 team. Well, they basically Notre Dame had to run the table after the Northern Illinois loss, or they weren't getting in. And now, the way they got it set up, they're going to have to play Alabama in the first round. They should be
Yeah.
one of the teams getting a bye, not Boise State. But they don't win a conference, so they can't. They can't. I don't know what they're going to do. I still think they're going to end up in the Big Ten here eventually. Notre
Yeah. I
Dame.
think it
Well,
makes some
makes
sense.
sense. Makes
Notre
sense.
If they,
Dame.
let's say they do, and they're all looking for cars when they,
Oh
have to
yes,
move to
hey,
a new
that's right.
conference, where should they go?
That's what we. You know what? I think Jim Paul and Brett Paul are very big sports fans. We should maybe go out there and get the Gophers to go out there and because now you can get a new car, right? The players can get some new cars. Let's go out and make some deals here, Gophers, with Jim Paul and Brett Paul at the Valley Group of GM dealers. You can you can assign the SUVs to the players by their importance and the size of the SUVs. There's 4 different sizes of SUVs out at Jim Paul's Valley Group. There's also a lot of Sierra trucks. A lot of young men like trucks. We could put them in some new Sierra trucks too. Go on out there right now. This December is the best month to buy cars. We're trying to move the stock so we can have room for the new models, and the interest rates are low, and the 0.9, 1.9, and also big factory rebates going on right now. Jim Paul, Brett Paul, Apple Valley, and Hastings GM dealers and Gopher boosters. We can come on. Let's get some cars for our Gophers.
Yeah. Okay. Final thoughts or predictions for Kirk Cousins versus the Vikings. Noon. Fox.
I think the Vikings defeat them 38-17.
Wow.
Gonna be a blowout. They're gonna
Wow.
kick his rear end and take names. And the Falcons might lose their lofty position as tied for first place in the mighty NFC North or
Yeah.
South. So
And by
who
the
they
way, the
tied
Bu-
with
the
five.
Bucks who play the Raiders this weekend. So
Okay.
But the
yeah.
Falcons swept the Buccaneers, which is absolutely incredible when you look
Yeah.
at the Falcons right
Well,
now.
they had about a 3 week. What he had his 5 touchdown pass
You,
game, and
they were
then
6-3.
they had a
The
little
Falcons were.
stretch going, and then
Uh-huh.
he became Kirk again. So
Yeah.
what he was at his best behavior, and when he did the interview with the local media, though, right, kissing up to everybody. So he
Yeah.
does that well. But I think I'd be very happy if he came out on the field and everybody booed him. But I don't think we'll do that. Where you,
Hmm.
yeah, maybe,
Eh,
maybe.
we
I
can.
don't know.
We're very. It's very hard to predict sometimes what we're gonna do as a fan base.
hmm
I think
Just
I think
remember,
the greedy part of it could irritate us. We'll see.
just remember, ladies and gentlemen, you paid him for 6 years and you won one playoff game. Remember that. So that's he was an abject failure. Remember that. Okay. See ya.
Yeah. Hard to
Boo him out.
disagree. Yep.
All
There
right.
he
See you,
is,
Royce.
Have
Patrick
a good
Reusse.
weekend, Jets.
You too,
Goodbye.
Pat. Royce
Bye.
Unchained, presented by Josh Arnold.